One of the reasons why I would read a book like this is to talk about the practical applications of how it's relevant today. And so I couldn't exclude some of the things that they weren't using at that time while still using their tools, which I'm going to show you that. But it's just keeping my perspective intact while I dive into this. Um, but I do that. Like, I control what I want, what I like, how long I like it, why I like it, all of that. What I'm allowed to like. I could shut it off, shut it down, and that's usually based on how I'm seeing myself. You know, um, and I'll talk about that because I can talk about it when you're talking about a family dynamic. How do you see yourself? If you see yourself as a mother, and I'm a woman, and so when we start building our identity and our life. And I know in today's society, there are women who stop their career to have children and those who don't. But, we have major decisions to make, even about, are we going to have children, when we're going to have children, why, what is that going to be like, what will that be like? And so I'm somebody who kind of, I planned that thing out. I act the way I want to act when I want to act it based on what I want, who I am, and how I see me. So that's important. And we are going to go into the details of the book because it's a training manual of training your mind, not being a slave mind, not being a slave to the outside environment, letting it dictate your likes. Because you see people, they're packaged in one way, that it's a lot of times in a lot of spaces, a lot of authenticity is missing. So yeah, we can see that. And people may think that this is attached to success, but that would just really mean, what do you consider success? Because when we think about the slave mind, you may have a negative connotation towards that language instead of thinking, when you walk into a hospital, maybe 90% of those people that are doctors came from family full of doctors. Maybe that's the only profession they really learned about in in real life, where they are in their social circle. It's promoted. Maybe the social club that they went to for 20 years, you had to be a lawyer to be in it, but because you were on the lawyer track, you were a part of that, and a big part of your culture is engaged in it. And so we might not think that that is, I won't call it mental slavery, because that's just the language that they used at the time. I would try to use something less offensive, maybe a more assimilated brain, or I don't want to call it a brain, a mind that's more assimilated and aligned with cultural norms and the way that society is pushing it, especially your immediate circle. This happens a lot, and it's not a weakness. It's actually it's a decision, I think, that people make or choose not to make, which is a decision in itself too. But anyway, I'm not going to get too much into the book. I'm gonna post it as soon as I get finished putting this intro together in Canva, because I want to start making things look a little more, because I do so many different things. I have to put like title pages on my stuff, so when you go here, this is the book review, this is Mystic Mabel, this is that. So I'm working on that. But yeah, we're gonna go through this. But there's ways that I can talk about it and make it relevant to today, because I'm a mind master.